Welcome to the presentation THPO Application Process and Timelines Overview. This presentation has been recorded by the Tribal Historic Preservation Program in May of 2018. My name is Jamie Lee Marks, and I am the Program Manager for the Tribal Historic Preservation Program at the National Park Service. My program is primarily responsible for certifying new Tribal Historic Preservation offices, entering into agreements with Tribal Historic Preservation offices, and monitoring those agreements. You can reach me anytime at THPO_program@nps.gov or Jamie_Lee_Marks@nps.gov. My office number is 202-354-6463. This presentation has three main goals. First, it will give a very general overview of Tribal Historic Preservation Office or THPO agreements with the National Park Service. It will also outline the process of applying to enter into a THPO agreement with the NPS in general terms. Additionally, it will establish appropriate points of contact and resources for application assistance. When you've completed this presentation, you should understand the general THPO application process. This presentation will not go into section-specific requirements for the application. There is a follow-up training video titled Writing a THPO Application Section by Section that gives detailed information about how to draft the application. After finishing this presentation, you should also understand important dates for submission and the time it takes to complete the full application process. You will also know who to contact and where to find answers to questions regarding your THPO application. There are several benefits to entering into a THPO agreement with the National Park Service. The THPO agreement officially transfers historic preservation functions listed in the National Historic Preservation Act on tribal lands to a tribally appointed historic preservation officer. Traditionally, a state historic preservation officer has been responsible for those functions unless they are transferred to a tribal officer through this process. Those functions include, but are not limited to, nominating properties to the National Register of Historic Places, completing a survey and inventory of historic properties, and being the primary signatory on Section 106 reviews. Additionally, the THPO becomes the officially recognized representative for historic and cultural preservation for the tribe and is recognized as such by the national preservation community. Another benefit is that it opens up new grant opportunities. Only THPOs with an agreement with the National Park Service are eligible to apply to non-competitive THPO grant funding on an annual basis. Once a THPO agreement is in place, it is sustained through annual reporting on activities. This application process only needs to occur one time. However, it is important to note that if your THPO program applies to grants, those grant applications typically are submitted on an annual basis. There are three stages in the THPO application process: an internal National Park Service review, an external review, and the process of entering into an agreement. The first stage of the THPO application review process is the internal National Park Service review stage. During that time, the Park Service works with applicants to ensure their applications meet the statutory requirements for the program and its components. This stage typically starts when a tribe or pueblo submits an application to the National Park Service for review. However, we recommend getting in touch with the THPO program as soon as you know you would like to submit an application so that the program can work with you along the way and provide helpful resources. Once an application is formally received, the National Park Service has 21 days to send a statement that it has received your application. From there, the National Park Service has 45 days to issue official comments on the program plan and send them back to the applicant if revisions are necessary. Despite these formal deadlines for the National Park Service to respond, the program typically gets a review back to applicants within 3 to 5 business days to avoid unnecessary delays in the process. The applicant can discuss requested changes with the National Park Service program team or simply update their application and send it back to the program. This iterative review process continues until the National Park Service Tribal Historic Preservation Program deems that the program plan contains all required information and is in compliance with applicable historic preservation laws and guidance. Most applications require 1 to 3 rounds of revisions before they are ready to go out for external review. There is no deadline for applicants to resubmit their applications after getting feedback from the National Park Service. Once the program plan has been determined to be complete by the Tribal Historic Preservation Program, the external review process is initiated. During the external review period, the program plan will be sent to the State Historic Preservation Office or State Historic Preservation Offices who work in the states where tribal lands are held. It will also be sent to National Park Service regional leadership, the Federal Preservation Officer for the Bureau of Indian Affairs, the Advisory Council on Historic Preservation's Office of Native American Affairs, and any tribes or pueblos the applicant identified in their application as sharing an interest in land, resources, or historic properties that are relevant to the program plan. The National Park Service will mail the application to external reviewers and establish a 30-day commenting window. The Park Service works as a liaison between commenters and the applicant. We will notify the applicant of any comments received. If the National Park Service Tribal Historic Preservation Program agrees with any reviewer that updates to the application are necessary, our program will work with the applicant to resolve those comments. If the deadline for external review arrives, no comments have been received, and the National Park Service agrees that the program plan is complete, the agreement process moves forward. Once the National Park Service has concluded that the application process is complete, the Tribal Historic Preservation Program drafts a memorandum of agreement using the materials in your application. The format of that agreement has been approved by our solicitor. The agreement is then mailed to the applicant within 5 business days after the external review process is concluded. The applicant should then review the agreement with tribal leadership and legal staff. Any requests for modifications to the agreement should be communicated to the Tribal Historic Preservation Program. 2 copies of the agreement are signed by the chief governing official of the applicant's tribe or pueblo. The National Park Service then receives the agreement back from the applicant and enters 2 original copies in our system for signature by the director of the National Park Service. On average, this signature can take between 14 and 30 days, and sometimes it has taken longer. The agreement is official upon signature by both parties. An original copy will be kept by the National Park Service Tribal Historic Preservation Program, and an original copy will be mailed back to the tribe. The Tribal Historic Preservation Program then sends out a letter to preservation partners notifying them that the new agreement is in place. THPO memoranda of agreement are signed by the director of the National Park Service and the chief elected official of the applicant's tribe or pueblo. THPO MOAs transfer certain historic preservation responsibilities to a tribal historic preservation officer on tribal lands. Those responsibilities the tribe elects not to take on remain the state historic preservation officer's responsibility. The MOA also outlines modest annual reporting requirements. The requirement to give a brief report on annual activities sustains the agreement with the National Park Service from year to year. This is a requirement of the agreement that applies even to THPOs who do not apply to grant funding from the National Park Service. The MOA also outlines processes for modifying the agreement or canceling the agreement. This has been a general overview of the THPO application process. For information about what's required in a THPO application, as well as detailed section-by-section guidance and assistance, please view the training Writing a THPO Application section by section. To start the process, please reach out to the Tribal Historic Preservation Program. We are available to share technical assistance and application resources such as examples, guidance, and more. Our application can be currently found at nps.gov/articles/THPPAPPS.htm. It is also available via email at any time. The program's email is thppo_program@nps.gov. My personal email is jamie_lee_marks@nps.gov. My phone number is 202-354-6463. We look forward to working with you on your THPO application. Thank you for watching. Please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions or comments.